In ancient Israel, during a time of great oppression by the Philistines, an angel appeared to a barren woman, proclaiming that she would bear a son. This child, Samson, was to be a Nazirite, dedicated to God from the womb, never to cut his hair, a symbol of his divine calling. As Samson grew, his strength became legendary. On his way to Timnah to meet a Philistine woman he wished to marry, a young lion came roaring toward him. The Spirit of the Lord came powerfully upon him, and with his bare hands he tore the lion apart, as one would a young goat. Later, returning to the lion's carcass, he found bees had made a hive within it, and from this came the inspiration for his riddle.
Out of the eater, something to eat. Out of the strong, something sweet.
At his wedding feast he posed this riddle to the Philistines, but when they solved it through deceit, using Samson's wife to coax the answer out of him, he was enraged. In retaliation, Samson burned their fields. He captured 300 foxes, tied their tails together with torches, and set them loose in the Philistines' grain fields, vineyards, and olive orchards. This was Samson's act of revenge after the Philistines betrayed him by forcing his wife to reveal the riddle's answer. After Samson burned the Philistines' fields, they sought to capture him with vengeance in their hearts. The Philistines marched to Judah, threatening its people and demanding they hand Samson over. Fearing for their lives, the men of Judah went to Samson at the rock of Etam and pleaded,
"Do you not realize the Philistines rule over us? What have you done?"
Samson replied,
I have only done to them what they did to me.
The men of Judah said,
"We have come to tie you up and hand you over to them."
Samson agreed but warned them.
Swear to me that you yourselves will not harm me.
They promised and bound him with new ropes, leading him to the Philistines. As Samson approached, the Philistines shouted in triumph. But the Spirit of the Lord came powerfully upon him, and the ropes binding his arms became like charred flax, falling away from his hands. Grabbing the fresh jawbone of a donkey, Samson turned on the Philistines. He struck them down, one after another, until 1,000 men lay defeated before him. Exhausted, Samson cried out to God,
You have given your servant this great victory. Must I now die of thirst and fall into the hands of the uncircumcised?
God answered, splitting a hollow place in the ground, and water flowed forth to restore him. One night in Gaza, the Philistines lay in wait to ambush him, but Samson arose at midnight, seized the doors of the city gate, and carried them to the top of a hill facing Hebron, a display of unmatched power. It was then that Samson met Delilah, a woman whose beauty captivated him. The Philistine rulers, eager to capture Samson, offered Delilah silver to discover the secret of his strength. Using her charm, she asked him again and again,
"Tell me the secret of your strength."
Samson toyed with her, giving false answers. But day after day she pressed him until, worn down, he revealed the truth.
No razor has ever touched my head, for I have been a Nazirite dedicated to God from birth. If my hair is cut, my strength will leave me.
As Samson slept, Delilah had his hair cut, and his strength left him. The Philistines seized him, bound him with bronze shackles, and gouged out his eyes. Blinded and broken, Samson was taken to Gaza, where he was forced to grind grain in prison. A shadow of the mighty man he once was. But in the darkness of his captivity, Samson's hair began to grow. Brought to the temple of Dagon, he was mocked by the Philistines as they celebrated their victory. Blinded but unbroken in spirit, Samson prayed,
Sovereign Lord, remember me. Strengthen me one more time, so I may avenge the loss of my sight.
Placed between the temple's central pillars, Samson pushed with all his might. The temple collapsed, killing the Philistine rulers and many others. Samson's story is one of triumph, failure, and redemption. It shows that even in our darkest moments, when we feel broken and defeated, God's strength is never far. Samson's final act of faith reminds us that God is always ready to restore us, no matter how lost we may seem. His strength is not just in our muscles, but in our hearts, when we trust and rely on Him. No matter the challenges, we must press on, keep the faith, and trust that God's power will carry us through. Just as He gave Samson strength in his final moments, He is always with us, ready to empower us to overcome anything that stands in our way.